Every time I experience that video, I am struck by the passion that drives the people behind every one of the works highlighted. A similar passion has driven our centennial celebrations this year. Good evening, I'm Keven Willey of the Dallas Morning News. I'm a co-chair of the Pulitzer Board this year, and I've chaired the board's Centennial Committee since 2013. All year on our redesigned Pulitzer.org website, we've been offering readers a peek inside our jury files and celebrating winners and their works. The anthology that you received at your tables tonight is a selection of the original essays produced especially for this effort. Did you know that there have been some 300 Pulitzer Centennial celebrations this year? They range from large-scale marquee events in major cities to small group affairs across Middle America, from Alaska to Alabama, from Maine to New Mexico. Every one of these celebrations is designed to highlight the first 100 years of the Pulitzer Prizes and to inspire new audiences for the next 100 years around the values that undergird them. Those values are unstinting fact-finding, well-researched analysis, lucid writing, rigorous self-reflection, cultural discovery, and most important, public service. This didn't happen by accident. We've had wonderful partners along the way, each of whom is passionate about the importance to democracy of journalism, scholarship, and the arts. Many of you know about the wonderful inaugural event in Washington at the museum in January. More than 600 people attended, 200 of them Pulitzer Prize winners. In addition, there have been 4 national marquee events, each with its own theme and each designed to highlight a specific aspect of the Pulitzer body of work. The first marquee was in St. Petersburg, Florida in March, in partnership with the Poynter Institute for Media Studies. It focused on the voices of social justice and equality and exuded the energy and passion of a religious revival. The second was in Los Angeles in May, in partnership with the Los Angeles Times and USC's Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. It focused on war, migration, and the quest for peace. It featured panel discussions and oh-so-memorable prize-winning photographs. The third marquee was in Dallas in June. Its title was The People, the Presidency, and the Press, and it was the product of an unusual collaboration between the Pulitzer Prize Board, the Dallas Morning News, and the 3 presidential libraries in Texas, the LBJ, Bush 41, and Bush 43. It featured prize-winning journalists and authors, policymakers, scholars, and excerpts from prize-winning plays about the American presidency. The fourth marquee was just last month in Cambridge. In partnership with the Neiman Foundation, this marquee was titled Power, Accountability, and Abuse. A highlight was Wynton Marsalis's performance lecture on the themes raised in Blood on the Fields, the first jazz composition to win the Pulitzer Prize in 1997. But there's more. The Pulitzer Board partnered with the Federation of State Humanities Councils in 46 states and territories on a $1.7 million project aimed at deepening the public discourse around the values embodied by the Pulitzer Prizes in a much more localized, organic way. Funded by the Pulitzer Board, the Mellon Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the Carnegie Corporation of New York, the project became known as our Campfires Initiative, in the interest of fanning the flames of passion across the country. These campfires range in scope from book fairs, poetry slams, and journalism workshops to musical ensembles, panel discussions, and drama readings. Featured topics have included race, the history of free speech, the importance of investigative journalism, the environment, poetry, photojournalism, editorial cartooning, music, and so forth. More than 90 Pulitzer Prize winners have appeared at these events, more if you count Pulitzer Prize finalists. In New Hampshire, just for an example, 1,000 high school students attended the Hosting Young Philosophy Enthusiasts Conference to discuss censorship and freedom of expression. Students led Socratic seminars at the University of New Hampshire in an event sponsored by New Hampshire Humanities as part of the Campfires Initiative. In Nebraska, Sonia Nazario, who won a 2003 Pulitzer for a series titled Enrique's Journey and America's Immigration Dilemma, used award-winning photographs to delve inside the world of millions of immigrant women who have come to the U.S. as single mothers and the children that they've left behind. The conversation drew some 1,500 people and attracted the support even of the governor's office, a staunch critic of immigration and refugee policy. The executive director of Humanities Nebraska told us that the Pulitzer Centennial program, quote, enabled us to take a risk in addressing a controversial hot-button topic. In Tuscaloosa, award-winning journalists and authors described the story behind the story that won their work Pulitzer recognition. The Alabama Humanities Foundation executive director described the year of the Pulitzer as an opportunity to celebrate the stories. He advocated revisiting novels like To Kill a Mockingbird, picking up a newspaper, following Pulitzer Prize winners on Twitter. Since January, in fact, the state humanities councils have conducted more than 220 campfires across 107 cities and towns throughout the nation. None of this counts the scores of additional centennial-related programming that have taken place by organizations not associated with the humanities councils. In Charlotte, North Carolina, for example, groups of people gathered this summer to begin cold reading Pulitzer Prize-winning plays. They're up to 25 out of 86 at this point. And last month, the local library in Bar Harbor, Maine, hosted a program about the place where Joseph Pulitzer conceived the prizes. And cartoonists talked about their work with hundreds of students at Miami-Dade College in a lead-up to the Florida primary. So as I mentioned at the start, none of this would have been possible without extensive collaboration and partnerships. Many of our wonderful collaborators are here with us tonight at this celebration. I'd like to ask each of these special people to stand as I call their name and to remain standing, please, so that we can recognize and applaud you as a group for being at the heart of the centennial year's success. From the National Federation of State Humanities Councils, President Esther McIntosh. From the Newseum, Senior Vice President Kathy Trost. From the Poynter Institute, former board co-chair Paul Tash. From the Los Angeles Times, publisher Devan Maharaj. From the Neiman Foundation, curator, Pulitzer winner, and former Pulitzer Board co-chair Anne-Marie Lipinski. From the Pulitzer Board, helping to lead this centennial effort, both of my fellow board co-chairs Joyce Daly and Randall Beck. From the Pulitzer Office, Administrator Mike Pride, Deputy Administrators Bud Clement and Megan Mulligan, and others in that office as well. And pulling it all together on behalf of the Pulitzer Board, the multi-talented and totally unflappable Centennial Project Coordinator, Nancy Earle. Please give them all a hand. Thank you, each and every one of you, for the work and dedication towards this grand purpose. Let me just close with this thought. It has never, ever been more important than it is right now to focus on the values of engagement, enlightenment, truth-telling, and inspiration. As we rocket toward what will be, regardless of the outcome, a historic election, we, each of us, must do everything we can to improve and inspire new audiences around the importance of journalism, the humanities, to our democracy. I'll leave you with a thought from the oft-overlooked, late, great war correspondent, Martha Gellhorn. She never won a Pulitzer, though her husband, Ernest Hemingway, did. I've had Gellhorn's quote hanging in my office for years. All my reporting life, I have thrown small pebbles into a very large pond. I have no way of knowing whether any pebble caused the slightest ripple. I don't need to worry about that. My responsibility was the effort. Thank you. Please enjoy your dinner, and the program will continue shortly.